my niece doesn't think being a female captain is a big deal because why couldn't she be a female captain? And that's something that my brother instilled in her and that she got to see from, her aunt and her incredible grandparents. So I really give a lot of props to my parents for, telling us that there was nothing that we couldn't do in life.
Welcome to the Shipping Podcast, where I meet interesting maritime professionals sharing their passion for the shipping industry and their everyday job. I am your host. My name is Lena Gothberg. Hello, Shipping Podcast lovers, and welcome to the 114th episode of the Shipping Podcast, where you will be meeting Captain Kate McCue, Celebrity Cruises captain, whom I met at the World Maritime University in Malmö early April at the Empowering Women in the Maritime Industry conference. And this is so appropriate since it was yesterday that we celebrated the Day of the Seafarer on June the 25th. And IMO had an online campaign, #I'mOnboard, with gender equality. And that was such a big success. And I am still at the IMO. I was fortunate enough to be in the celebrations yesterday. So I am interviewing so many people at IMO for you to listen to later on during this autumn. But without further ado, this is Captain Kate McCue for you. Welcome to the Shipping Podcast. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Captain Kate McCue. I am from the United States. I'm the very first American female cruise ship captain.
And how did you first come in contact with shipping?
I went on a cruise when I was 12 years old, and I told my dad at the end of the cruise that I wanted to be the cruise director. He said you could do anything in the world you wanted, including drive the thing. And the secret is my dad wanted to go to sea, but he applied to the academy that I went to, and he was told that he was too old. But he had done the legwork, and he knew what I needed to study and where I needed to go. So he suggested California Maritime Academy, which is where I started. A 4-year university. I received a business administration degree along with a minor in marine transportation and a third mate unlimited license, so I could sail anything from tugboat to a super tanker and everything in between.
So we are in the conference for empowering women in the maritime industry now. And you made a presentation and you spoke about it was hard to get your first job, I understand.
It was. At the time, honestly, I think being an American working for an international company is more of an enigma than being a female in the cruise ship industry. And at the time, it was just when the internet was kicking off. So I sent resumes out via snail mail, as well as doing it online, making applications. But, back then, social media wasn't a thing. And now it's so much more accessible. You can find people on LinkedIn. Monster.com was actually just starting when I started, and they had no contacts as far as the cruise industry. So it was basically who you knew in order to get your foot in the door. And I changed my resume to actually be a bartender just so I could get my foot in the door and figure out who the appropriate people to get my resume to in the marine department would be.
And it worked.
And it worked.
So you became a captain of the ship?
19 years after I started sailing, yeah.
It only goes to show that you can't give up. You just have to be there.
Well, the funny thing is, when I look back, when I say the words 19 years, now it's my 23rd year at sea. I've been captain for 4 years, but it was a blink of an eye. I know it was a marathon, but when you enjoy your job so much, and that's exactly what I do. I enjoy my job so much that there is no line between when I go home on quote unquote vacation and when I come back to the ship. In fact, I find myself looking forward to being on the ship more often than I look forward to being at home on vacation because my world is on the ship. My extended family, 1,200 crew members, and I get to bring my cat on the ship. So my family can also come sail with me whenever they'd like. We go to the most beautiful places on earth, and I actually get to experience them. I'm not just on a ship that's coming in and out of port for a few hours here and there, and you never get to experience the places. So I'm getting paid to travel the world, do all the things that I want to do, And for me, it's living in a bubble.
So what are the biggest differences that you have seen during your career?
Well, technology's made a huge impact on shipping. When I first started, we were doing grease pencils on radars, and we had Loran C. Paper charts. Our ships have no paper charts any longer. Everything's digital. And it's funny because the amount of paperwork, physical paperwork, has gone down, but the admin work with emails and reports, that's actually gone significantly up, I think.
Oh, I see. So we're just waiting for something to make that more efficient.
We need to find the balance in that, definitely.
So you have started an Instagram account.
I did, yeah. I actually started when I went over to Celebrity Cruises in 2015. I had no idea what Instagram was. And we have a PR department, and they said, it would be nice, if you could show some of the highlights about your job. And I just really got into it. Now it's more of a hobby, but the feedback, when people can see the inside of a captain's stateroom. I mean, I never saw a captain's room when I was coming up. And I remember when I first took over on the Celebrity Summit, and I walked into the captain's cabin, I just walked in circles, just in awe, because I had no idea how good life could be. And, my cabin now, people always ask, is it big? And one, I say it's large enough that you could swing a cat, because I actually have. But I have a doorbell, and I have a phone in the toilet. It's bizarre, but that's how I can kind of equate the size of the room. So.
Was that something you wished for when you became the captain?
That I would have a toilet with a telephone? No, that was just an added bonus. But yeah, it's life is very, very good on the ships. It's I mentioned the bubble. I have everything that I need at my fingertips and surrounded by the best people. So.
I follow you on Instagram, of course. I'm part of your tribe. And I felt the same when I saw what you were sharing. I thought, yes, this person has really understood what it's all about. I think that's why I started my podcast. Because shipping is storytelling.
It is.
All of it is storytelling. We just need to tell the story that we have.
Yeah.
And I meet so many maritime professionals with a passion that you also have. I can see that. And just to be able to share that with other people.
And it's a place of positivity. There's the things that I post they might be glamorous, but that's the reality of the life that I'm living on a passenger vessel. And I hope that it diminishes some of the expectations and some of the stereotypes. During the conference, one of the women stood and asked how it is to deal with people rather than traditional cargo, because she sails cargo vessels. And I hope that she was surprised to learn that it's really invigorating and that you can feed off of people's positive energy, which I'm surrounded by 24/7 on a ship by people that are there to have an incredible time. And, they've saved money to come and have this experience, and they make the most out of it. And you can physically feel that from them.
So how long are you on board and then on leave?
I do 3 months on board and 3 months at home.
And your husband is also working?
He is. We met on Royal Caribbean. We were both on the ship at the same time. And we worked on ships together for a while until I came over to Celebrity Cruises. And now he is a fleet chief engineer with another cruise line. So he's off in Italy building a ship. But what's great is he can make his own schedule. So he'll come, for example, 2 weeks ago, he was sailing with me as the captain's wife on board the ship, which is great because he walks around like he's a diva. And it's a lot of fun. He'll ask people, do you know who I am? And people go, I don't care who you are. And then they realize that it's the captain's wife, quote unquote. And but he has a really, really good time. And it's nice to have family from time to time come sail on board the ship.
But he also understands what you are doing.
110%. And not only does he understand it, but he's extremely supportive. When we were sailing together on one of our ships, and they offered me a promotion to staff captain, the second in command, he was the first one to say, go. Even though it meant that we wouldn't be working together anymore, we wouldn't be sailing together anymore, our schedules had the possibility of getting completely turned upside down. He was the first one to say, go. This is a stepping stone to the ultimate goal of being captain. You have to do it. And it's funny, I was talking to Captain Wendy, who I work with, and she said to her husband the other day, does any of this ever bother you? Because every time I tell you I have to do something, you say, fine. My husband's the exact same way. Anything that I need to do for a job, he's okay with. And it's because the end result is a great life for us. And this is what our normal is. I say the secret to a happy marriage is 12 time zones, because technology has made it incredibly easy to keep in touch. I was sailing in Australia and he was in the Caribbean. So at 8 p.m., I would get a full recap of his day, or vice versa, at 8 a.m. in the other person's time zone. And for us, it's just what works.
Yeah, it sounds great. Now, how many people in the crew on board a cruise ship that you are?
On the Celebrity Equinox that I have now, 1,243 crew members.
So you are a leader of 1,200 people.
But I have an incredible executive committee. And it's funny because my last executive committee, the women outnumbered the men. We had 3 of the top 5 were actually female. And I think this is I don't want to say trend, because I think this is the future. Our hotel directors with Celebrity, we have 5 female hotel directors. We have 2 female staff captains in the fleet. We have the majority of our human resources managers are female on board. We're still waiting for the first female chief engineer, but I feel like that's only a matter of time before that happens.
It makes me happy to hear that.
It should. It's a really, really good thing.
Because usually, shipping is looked upon as an old-fashioned, male-dominated, a little bit not so fancy business. And I think they're totally wrong.
I agree.
And I see also a lot of young women coming into the industry with knowledge that we don't really have in the industry before. Like, for instance, 3D printing and blockchain and autonomous shipping. It's
coding.
So many women. And I get happy when I see them.
Absolutely.
So do you feel like a role model?
I feel like I have a responsibility given the platform that I have. Initially, when I began, when I was at Celebrity Cruises, I was coming over from Royal Caribbean. It was a new company, new ship, new people, new job. Everything was completely new. And then on top of that, there was an external focus for me being female, the first female American captain. So a lot of public relations, a lot of interviews, a lot of PR that the gentlemen did not have to go through when they were promoted to captain. So there was an additional layer, which I found really interesting. However, that caused me to deep delve into how I got where I am and be very, very thankful, and also take note of the traits that I've come across on my way up that I can pass on to the next generation, whether it be male or female, the ones coming up through the ranks. So I feel like the platform's given me, or I have the responsibility because of the platform, to be as visual as possible, to, be accessible to all. I have a LinkedIn account where, I get a lot of requests from female seafarers that are just starting out. Where can they send resumes, or do I have advice on certain things? And I didn't have that person that I could reach out to when I was coming up. So I think it's really important for me to give back in that way and be accessible. So if they have those questions, then yes, I suppose I would take on the role model position.
But did you have a role model growing up?
Well, my parents. The secret to my success I mentioned in the conference is the diversity and the supportive environment that I'm in. My parents were the kind of parents that, there was nothing that I couldn't do. And I can see that even with my brother and my niece, who's 8 years old. My niece doesn't think being a female captain is a big deal, because why couldn't she be a female captain? And that's something that my brother instilled in her, and that she got to see from, her aunt and her incredible grandparents. So I really give a lot of props to my parents for, telling us that there was nothing that we couldn't do in life.
Can we talk about the cat?
Of course we can talk about the cat for ages.
I love the cat.
That makes 2 of us. Yes, thank you.
How old is she?
She just turned 3 on March 20th.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is she your first cat?
She is. I grew up as a dog person, but when it came time, being promoted to captain, if your family doesn't sail with you all the time, which my peers have their wives and their children that sail with them for entire contracts, it can be very lonely if you don't have family on board, because your job, your office is in your cabin, and if you're not out walking around, then yeah, it can get a little lonely. So I said, I need a pet, but I was a dog person. But dogs require a lot of paperwork and a lot of clearance. Cats, nobody really seemed to care so much about cats. So I asked the office if I could bring a pet, and they said no. And then I said, well, there are some captains with Royal Caribbean. Captain Johnny has a parrot. Captain Sfera has 2 cats. There's a captain on the Free Winds that has a dog. And because the gentleman had set that precedent, then of course they couldn't say no. So I came across a Sphinx cat on Instagram, and I just thought, that is the most unusual thing I've ever seen. And then I started to realize, not having hair with the Sphinx breed, it's more hypoallergenic, so it's probably much easier to travel with her, which it is on the plane. And if she meets guests, the chance of them being allergic to cats, well, if she's hairless, it decreases that. So she was just kind of a natural fit for me, and she is my new normal. When I see a cat with fur, I wonder what is wrong with that animal.
And she has got her own Instagram account.
She does. Well. She has about 25,000 followers now. Crazy cat people love crazy cat people. I think I've figured that out.
Yeah, but she has a personality that suits an Instagram account.
She does. And, she actually gives a really good glimpse, more of the personal side into the captain's life, because you can actually see, the cabin and the areas that she hangs out, the bridge, which, normally you have to do a behind the scenes tour. I don't do tours of my cabin, but in order to get up to the bridge. So it gives people an opportunity to kind of get that secret glimpse.
So what's the name of your cat?
My cat's name is Bug Naked, B-U-G, Bug Naked.
Yeah, we love her, and I think we all are fans of Bug Naked. And
Thank you.
We are very happy that her mom came to Sweden to see us. Who do you think I should interview the next? Who would you be interested in listening to in a podcast?
I think Nicolene. Nicolene, she began her career, actually she began here at World Maritime University, and she's the first African cadet that's ever been on cruise ships. She's a success story in herself, because she came on, I had the privilege of working with her as a deck cadet when she was still working on her sea time on the Celebrity Equinox a year ago, and now she's already second officer on our flagship, the newest ship in our fleet, the Celebrity Edge, and she's making waves. So I think she's a complete success story, which, she's got an incredible background to share, and I think she would be a good person to talk to.
Okay. I will see if I can find her. Thank you very much for taking the time, Captain Kate. Thank you.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you.
My best to Bug Naked.
I will let her know. I'll give her an extra squeeze for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Captain Kate. I hope it didn't shine through that I was totally starstruck when I met you. I'm still starstruck. Maybe even more with Bug Naked. Listeners, you need to follow both of them on Instagram, Captain Kate McCue and Bug Naked. I will put links in the show notes for you to find a way to take part of both their Instagram accounts. Empowering women in the maritime industry. I've been talking a lot about that lately, especially since I am at the IMO and people from all over the world is gathering here. A lot of them were here yesterday for the celebration of the Day of the Seafarer. And I started to talk to someone. And when I explained that I have now got 47% of my guests in this podcast are female, they started to ask me, how was that possible? And I think maybe because I'm a woman, and that is at the top of my mind, that I need to have at least 50-50. As you hear, I'm not at 50-50 yet. I'm at 47%. But that is so much ahead of everyone else. So, yeah, why does that happen to me and not the other ones? It's easier for me because I'm starting from scratch. That might be the idea. But also, people, especially men, ask me, why and how can we empower women? And for me, this is, working together, sharing knowledge, and by that, developing and contributing to the development of our industry. So it's not that hard. It's not like anyone is giving anything away. It's just a way of working. It's the way forward. We need to work together and collaborate. And that is, I think, how women should be empowered. Diversity, gender diversity, is not a female issue. I keep repeating that nowadays. I would like to say thank you to my listeners. Thank you for spreading the word. And if you want to support me, please visit patreon.com/shippingpodcast, and there you will see how you can contribute financially or otherwise to the development of my career with the Shipping Podcast. So until the next time, from me to you, over and out. Thank you for listening to the Shipping Podcast. Don't forget to tell everyone that you meet that there is a Shipping Podcast available and that they should download it and listen to the maritime professionals who are sharing their passion for the shipping industry.